So don't mind if it looks a little ghetto in here, because it is pretty ghetto. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Welcome back to another show. Welcome back to another episode. Good morning or good afternoon to all of my viewers, listeners, and Soul Tribe family. The name of this program is called It's a Conspiracy, But It Ain't No Theory. It's a Conspiracy, But It Ain't No Theory is a nonprofit social service agency suicide prevention campaign servicing the needs of families and foster children at risk. Lending my voice to help raise awareness by soft publishing a book trilogy called Lucy's Lair. Lucy's Lair is a graphic novel based on true events following my life as a freelance artist. This program is intended to help encourage, heal, and empower survivors of cancel culture and rape culture, providing free information and evidence regarding child abuse, sexual assault, domestic violence, electronic harassment, gang-stalking, conspiracy, and true organized crimes against humanity, collective and covert. Your company can help by providing funds in a grant or by donating goods and services as I continue delivering this information and evidence to the public and advocating for foster children in need. Thank you in advance for all of your support. On today's episode, I am going to be discussing gang stalking, occult ritual stalking, hypersimulation theory, covert psychological operations, plus surviving the New World Disorder, surviving the New World War. That's if you choose to believe that the Second World War ended. I believe it's still running. Surviving manufactured chaos, surviving manufactured karma spelled with a C, don't mess with me. Surviving white genocide, and surviving the electronic targeting Holocaust. My name is Adrienne Alese. I am the author and creator of a book trilogy called Lucy's Lair. Lucy's Lair is a book trilogy reflecting my life as a survivor of rape culture, child sex trafficking, and psychological gas chambers. On this program, I advocate for women's rights, basic human rights, and the rights of those disabled. I also advocate on behalf of the foster children in the CPS systems, orphans, single mothers, foster mothers, and those less fortunate. Targeted individuals or trafficked victims, because it's essentially the same thing, are predominantly women. 65 to 70% of targeted individuals are white American women or those who identify as such. This makes gang stalking an illegal operation or hate crime that is sexually and politically motivated towards American women and their children, family, and supporters. This program is a dedication to the targeted individual community. The objective of the opposition or the counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO 2.0, is to subvert all of the target's potentiality. This is done by mobbing the target. To terminate and to punish all supporters and sympathizers, that's why there will be none. To round down the target's output and audience, to marginalize the target, to eliminate connections and networking ability. So I just wanted to take a moment briefly and say again to all of those who have donated either money or goods and services, a huge special thanks to those of you who have tipped and donated. It's good for the world. So I'm going to keep and continue doing it because this program, this educational webinar, it's actually good for everybody. Okay, it's not just only good for me. No, it's good for everybody. Thank you. It suffers from a shared delusion, so much to the point where people are not even allowed around it unless they're willing to participate and share the delusion. So everybody in this occult suffers from the same shared delusion. And so much to the point where no one is even allowed around or into the occult unless they're willing to participate and share that delusion. And then it'll turn around and try to say, have some nerve to say, that's what I'm doing. BS. And so it's like religion, because these occultists, they are worshiping their scientific practices. So it becomes like a religion. In that case, they don't see themselves as being mentally ill because it's a shared delusion. So they will never go and get the help that they need, unfortunately, which is why programs like mine are so important, because it actually does make all of the difference. And it's very delusional to think that your life is the only life that matters. Like, I would be really embarrassed. I mean, it gets up and it goes to work every single day, and it's suffering from this delusion where it believes that it matters, its life matters more than everybody else there. And that is highly delusional. You kind of just got to give it its space and let it think what it wants to think, and let it entertain those criminal thoughts, and just not care about what it thinks. Its opinion is irrelevant. It thinks it's better than everybody else. It thinks that its life matters more than everybody else, and that's highly delusional. So you just got to give it its space and let it continue thinking that. And you will notice that people who don't participate or share that delusion, they're not welcome. You see how I'm treated because I won't share the delusion. So in any case, that's kind of how group narcissism cult think works. And it is highly delusional. It is highly delusional to think that you're God and you're in a position where you can treat somebody like they're a sinner, because you are not God. It's not your job to judge me. So in any case, highly, highly delusional to think that you're the only one called by God to do the work that you do, and that's only exclusive to you and nobody else. Highly delusional, highly delusional. To think that I'm the only one that knows, highly delusional. Everybody knows. Everybody knows what I'm dealing with. Everybody knows that I'm not crazy, and everybody is delusional and jealous. Absolutely. You see how mad it gets when I call it jealous? It fears the truth. It trembles and shakes, literally, when I just speak the J word. That's how delusional and psychotic it is. That's how mentally ill it is, the entire group. Anyways, you know it is suffering from delusions of grandeur. So anyways, it shares the same delusion that victims of rape culture were somehow asking for it, and so, or begging for it somehow, and gaslights, and this rape culture victim blames. And so what it actually does, when the police or the police's family get caught up in a sex scandal involving rape charges, is it actually victim blames, and it targets the victim for a counter-proliferation targeting program for depopulation and eugenics, because it's a shared delusion that they all suffer from. It's actually really sad, and that's to protect the police. This is done to protect the police. What do the police need protection for? Aren't they supposed to be the protection? And this is done to protect the police and to protect the police's family. And in this case, in this setting, there is no law. It's completely lawless. All of the crimes that occur to the victim, it's completely lawless. And the victim is owed, a victim of crime for the rest of my life for being a victim of rape. And Jason does not pay that, nor does his family. And this is done to protect the rapist, who is family to the chief of police in Marysville, Rex Caldwell. And so in order to protect the police, they run a depop sinister agenda to depop the victim, and it victim blames. And that's a shared delusion. But it's not a big surprise. Most of these gang stalkers are alcoholics, drug addicts, sex addicts. I mean, they end up having to figure out how to cope, because obviously what they're doing isn't healthy. And so they end up being left or made to feel even worse about themselves. After they participate in such evil deeds, they're actually psychologists, expert psychologists, I write about this in my book as well, have already proven that these rituals, these ritual practices, they don't actually make you feel better about yourself. Number one, it's being done because the person already feels bad about themselves and has low self-esteem and is insecure. Number two, it's done for instant gratification. Hate crimes are done for instant gratification. And number three, they end up feeling more of a void, being left feeling emptier inside after each and every criminally insane, abusive, covert, narcissistic action that they've taken. And they think that it's going to make them feel better about themselves, but studies have actually shown that it leaves them feeling emptier inside. And they're actually more insecure afterwards. And they're actually way worse off after participating in this ritual than they were when they began. Shared delusions. They also do it to make each other feel good because they're all criminally insane. They all suffer from the same criminally insane delusions. They all victim blame. They all gaslight. They all scapegoat. And they do this to make each other feel better about being criminally insane. So nobody has to process that guilt or that regret or that grief. And so it tries to create this illusion where it would appear that somebody like myself would be jealous of it because of its wealth. Outside of that gang stalking occult, it doesn't have any real wealth. And truthfully, if it were being honest about everything the way that I am, it wouldn't have anything. So there's really nothing to be jealous of. Once you get a closer look, once you are able to get a clear look at what it is that is really going on, you can see for yourself that it is misleading and that there is really nothing to be jealous of and that it is an entire delusion. You are not better than me just because you are thicker. You are suffering from delusions of grandeur because you are a narcissist. And that is primarily due to watching too much Kardashians and participating in rape cult rituals on Pornhub, watching too much porn. Watching all this porn has you feeling a delusion that you're better than me because you're thicker. You are not. You're insane. You watch too much Kardashians. You watch too much porn. And so, in any case, Kim Kardashian's ass is fake. It got famous lying, and this just goes to show. This is how I know everybody in Hollywood, their career is complete BS. Because Kim Kardashian got famous lying to everybody, saying that those ASS cheeks were real. Come to find out they were fake this whole time. When people found out that Kim Kardashian's ass was fake, people were no longer interested. It's defaming information for sure, to say the very least. Obviously, when people found out that her butt implants were fake and not real, or that her ass is fake and not real, excuse me, you know what I mean. She was no longer famous. She went from being looked at as somebody who had a body of a woman who works out every single day, and then to being looked at as more of a groomer, trafficker, con artist. So that's how I know that everybody in Hollywood has a BS career, including some of your favorite sports athletes. Their entire career, complete and utter BS. I bet you didn't know that. How much of a fan would you be if you knew the truth? And this is how they operate. They get famous for lying. And then when people realize that they were lying, they're no longer relevant. And with these honeypot Kim Kardashian copycat knockoffs. So with these Kim Kardashian copycat knockoffs, they really do want these men who have been groomed by this rape culture, by these trafficking females within this rape culture. They really do want the men that have been groomed by these women to ultimately kill for these women, and ultimately kill and abuse and lie and deceive and manipulate and do it all for the cult, the rape culture, for the women in this rape culture. And their ass implants and their BBLs. They're running the same type of game. They working for the Justice Department. Those justice scales on Kim Kardashian are not even real. That's how you know their justice is not even real. Their justice is fake. Who's getting justice and where? I'll wait. These cops don't even do their jobs at all anymore. You call them out one time and the person who's being victimized is the one that gets arrested. The one telling the truth is the one that goes to jail. So why are they being employed if they're not doing their jobs? They need to be fired. They need to be arrested. Will they be? Absolutely not. And a matter of fact, according to the handbook, they actually get a raise, a promotion for their lawlessness. Can you believe that? incentives to be criminally insane. That is crazy. Delusional. Thinking that they could do it on their own. What they got going on isn't even possible without the cult, without the group. When it takes credit for its own success, it couldn't do that on its own without the group. Anything that it is trying to take credit for on its own, it absolutely could not have done if it were somebody like myself with no support from any cult or group or family or community. It would have failed time and time again, miserably, if it were not for that cult that it belongs to. That is the real reason why it's so successful. So every single thing that these gang stalkers have accumulated over time, over the years, it actually owes every single thing that it has, that it is, and that it will ever be or ever have, not only to its victims as restitutions and victim of crime, but to that group, that criminal syndicate that they belong to. And it's actually really, really interesting how it'll try to say that I'm doing all of this community outreach for attention. That is quite literally what it is doing. It has the leisure to do all of this for attention like a child. I do not, however, I don't have that leisure. I didn't start this channel for attention. I didn't start this channel for money, and I have neither, so I think that goes without being said. I started this channel because this a cult of angry mobsters, this death cult, they murdered Jerron's baby cousin, and I needed to get the word out before they did the same to me like they've been trying to do. I started this channel in fear for my life, not for social currency, okay? So I don't do any of this for attention, for sympathy, for support. Even if I did, I don't have any. I don't get any. I definitely don't do this for money. And even if I did, I haven't made a single penny on my show advocating for less fortunate individuals like myself, victims of these hate crimes like myself. I have not made a single penny, So truly the enemy is lying when they say I do this for attention. Truly they are suffering from delusions when they say I do this for money, because I haven't made any. I don't make friends talking about rape culture. I don't think anybody is ever going to make any friends talking about rape culture or things like it. That's definitely not how we go about making friends. So a delusion there as well, suffering from a delusion there as well. I certainly don't pull a lot of male tail, so to speak, and definitely don't have better game because I choose to talk about rape culture on my program. I definitely aren't. I'm not winning any brownie points in that department. With the guys, with the male tail, I don't have any extra boy toys on the side. You don't see none of that. No. People are not more interested in me because of what happened, because of the serious issues like rape culture that I discuss on my channel. Absolutely. Have you guys seen American Ultra? Don't get American Ultra now. So anyways, like I was saying, I don't make any friends talking about drug and sex trafficking. I definitely don't make any friends exposing these Luciferians on my channel. I don't belong to a cult. I think it's so funny that the general public has been programmed to think that the bigger of a following that you have, the more legitimate you are now with social media. And we are headed in that direction where people are being depopulated because their following isn't high enough, because they don't have a cult-like following. And I've been abused because of this several times, and people love to come up in my comment section talking about how I only get 3 likes on my photos. Yes, that makes perfect sense. I'll do you one even better. The only 3 people who like my photo are those who are involved in these hate crimes and direct affiliates of the occult. They're just electronically harassing me. Precisely like the person who goes in the comment section and says that I only have 3 likes on my photos. You know why? Because I'm a victim of a hate crime, and that's just more evidence. That's why. Okay? It just goes to prove that what I'm saying is actually true and correct. It's just further evidence to prove my point. I don't make any money or make any friends exposing Luciferians for their overconsumption in pornographic material. I definitely don't make any friends exposing the news for their misleading information. I don't make any friends within my own family writing books about how I was abused as a child by my family. I haven't made any close relatives exposing them for that on that front. Let's see. The only people who have invited me out, like to go to church, for instance, are people who know that my time is short, people who have participated in these gang-stalking operations, people who know that because they've participated in these gang-stalking operations, they feel that my time is short. And they want to get me into the church so I can be saved by the good Lord before I get taken out by the government, by the enemy. I've already been saved. And I praise and worship and repent daily, not just for my own sins, but for everybody else's as well. But it's just really haunting and daunting to know that the only people that have invited me to church didn't do it so I can be a part of their community, but did it because they participated in occult rituals like gang-stalking and gang-stalking operations, and therefore they believe my time is short and I need to get in there to be saved immediately before I die, before I'm taken out by the enemy. So that's actually really sad. It's really sad that because of their participation, they want to get me into the church so that I'll be saved before I'm unalived by the enemy. With this trade-related punishment, you have to understand that the pastor is involved in this. This is very evil. This is very sick. It's not an attack on the church. It is the truth. when the police have relatives that get involved in sex scandals like rape, there is an entire agenda to depopulate the victim and to blame the victim for the criminal actions that the relative of the police is responsible for creating and making. So victim blaming really does become an essential tool in the narcissist's toolbox. And I know we talk about gaslighting all of the time. How could we not? We're living in the end days, in the end times, where there is currently an electronic holocaust taking place. And so the whole world is one gigantic gaslight, psychological gas chamber, one gigantic holocaust. I am just so grateful to the good Lord that while the enemy has tried to take me out, has tried relentlessly, many different times, to kill me, and more specifically tried to get me to kill myself. How evil. In any case, I'm just so grateful, overwhelmed with joy. Tears of joy come to my eyes when I think about how grateful and truly favored I am. That even though the enemy doesn't want my life on this planet, there is still breath in my lungs due to God's favor. Thank you, Jesus. So I noticed that I'm looking a lot leaner. I noticed some weight loss. I know that a lot of you guys are going to be like, well, you do the same workout every day. But I mean, that's kind of the point in order to see some weight loss. I wasn't really trying to shoot for weight loss, but I got it anyways. That just so happens to be the case. When I work out, I always lose weight. And it tends to come from my butt. My buttocks first. And so I know you can probably see, like, I notice a noticeable difference. I've even noticed it in Geron as well. So these little workouts that we're doing, don't say it's pointless to do it, it doesn't work, that's an old lady routine. Oh, it works perfectly fine for me. I see results almost in a week, in a day. Okay, because I'm not that big, and there's not that much for me to work off in the first place. And I mostly do it for mental clarity anyways. Peace of mind. If you're not working out every day, you really don't have a good balance. And so you need to get to working out. You don't need to go to a gym. I'm proof of that. You don't need to go to a hairstylist. I'm proof of that. You don't need to go to a nail salon every week. I'm proof of that. I do it on my own, and I don't like people touching me. And so if you're addicted to having somebody put their hands in your hair or anywhere else on your body, just always touching on you, ask yourself, why do you need that? That's weird. That's unusual. So in any case, very strange. Try not to get too far off topic here. I literally just turned this on so I could do my intro and ask you all to send me money. Haha. And now I can't find it. Sorry. I know you can afford $1. You can send $1 to my Cash App. It's Prestigious Phoenix. I know you can do that. And no, that's not me asking too much of you. I know that. You can afford $1. Preferably 5 or 10, so I can get some food and some toilet paper and, you know, all of the things, the essentials, the basic essentials that I need. I'm in debt with my mother because I owe her some money for this cell phone bill. I'm surprised this phone is still even on. So it's by God's grace that I'm able to do this show. Okay, really, truly. I know everybody expects me to go right back into some lingerie the second they see me lose one